Hi there. In a world where nothing is certain, that means anything is possible, right? If you want to fulfill your dreams and desires, you are in the right place. You absolutely can have a life of happiness. Everyone deserves an abundance of love, laughter, success, health, and wealth. I'm Tara Chadzakis, and you're listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. The show that brings you meditation, mindset, and motivation. So start by giving yourself permission to be awesome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi there, and welcome to this week's episode of Happy, Inspired, Motivated. Today I'm joined by Yinka, who is the founder and managing director of Colour Success Systems. Yinka is a coach, a consultant, a strategist, a trainer, and a speaker who works with inspired and ambitious women who want to have everything on their own terms. Yinka founded Colour Success Systems to support busy and ambitious women to shine, sparkle, and build businesses that lead to thriving and profitable businesses while nourishing and inspiring lives. Let's find out a little bit more about Yinka, shall we? So, hi there, Yinka. How are you doing today?
Really well, thank you, Tara. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, what have you been up to recently besides staying indoors?
Well, I'm working from home along with much of the population, also trying to balance homeschooling. The children, one secondary, one primary, one preschool.
Nice.
So, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm hearing people saying, oh, like homeschooling, but I'm like, home preschool is just something else. So, and then, doing balancing that alongside supporting women in business to build their businesses, to prepare for this amazing future that they want, and live out their wildest dreams. So
perfect. Yes. I must admit, I don't envy you. I've got 3 daughters, but none of them are that age. So I cannot imagine how difficult it is trying to keep a preschooler occupied as well.
Well, that's the thing. As I said, that everyone's kind of complaining about the schoolwork, but just the attention span is what I'm really dealing with a preschooler, and the fact that being such an outdoor learner, just constantly wants to be outside, and I constantly don't want to be outside. So it's a lot, but I'm more grateful that everyone's just safe and well. So
yeah, definitely. It is a bit of a weird one. I know that they're rolling out the vaccine and everything, so I don't know. I hope things will be opening up again.
Yeah. It's been a really interesting time, but they say that rough seas make the best sailors. I can't even imagine the kind of sailing proficiency that we're getting as a complete society through this crazy time we're living in. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going through a bit of a seasickness phase at the moment, though, because I'm getting really fed up. I'm getting so bored. It's like, come on, seriously, let me out of this house.
And I mean, it's funny to think that we're literally living through history. People are going to look back and be like, what did you do through the global pandemic? And,
yes, I know, it's crazy. Well, one thing I'll be able to tell them is I ate a lot of popcorn and I also binged a lot of Netflix. I haven't stopped. I think we did like what was it? How to Get Away with Murder. We've been through that. We've been through Bridgerton. At the moment, we're on American Horror Story, which was petrifying when I started it, but it's all right.
I am not. Horror is not my genre.
No, it was really, when it started, I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch this. But actually, the story, after about episode 8, the story was all right. And Cobra Kai as well, we're getting into that.
Not gonna lie, obsessed with Cobra Kai. Love a bit of Cobra Kai. But yeah, I haven't, to be honest, I've done a bit of Netflix, just kind of for sanity purposes. But honestly, because so many women are having to kind of come and kind of adapt their businesses around kind of the new, what they keep relabeling as the new normal, just been super busy, working with women to think about, how they're able to kind of get everything that they want to do, but in a more digital space, and kind of thinking about having those really clear boundaries, because when you're working from home, your office is your home is your office, and it's really
Yeah.
easy for you to just keep going and never stop. So, but because I'm really focused around the holistic stuff, it's just really helping them to make sure they're looking after their well-being as well.
Cool. So what kind of pivots have you worked with? What kind of business have you pivoted?
Lots of trainers who were very much kind of in-person trainers, really kind of working with them to look at not only delivering online, but also thinking about creating assets. So one of my passions around women in business is, because society, we're socialized into believing like, oh, if you want it done well, you kind of have to do everything yourself. I kind of move them away from that way of thinking and really think about creating assets that create cash flow in their business, but also will increase the value of their business. So that way, you know, if you create like a course or, you know, a resource, an ebook, just anything, you know, that can go on to continue to create money for you while you're doing other things. So I've had quite a few, I've supported a few women around that kind of pivot, as well as really thinking about being coherent in the offers that they're offering. It's when you do things face to face, it's because you have that added dimension, it's easy to kind of skip over certain processes or phases as you get to know people. So whereas online, people are much more structured, and, you know, I need the next step and the next step. It's not always so easy to skip steps. So helping them to fill out the different steps in their offer ladders, as I like to call them, has been really helpful as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose it's, I mean, when it's online, it's different as well, because you've got your offers, but you're building up a different audience, and they don't actually know you, do they? Because they haven't met you in person. So it's got a completely different situations when you're dealing with people that are in effect strangers, aren't they?
Absolutely. And people translate really differently in person and online. I mean, I can say certainly I'm very introverted. So as much as I, you know, can present on camera, or I can, you know, I'm a public speaker. So it's not, I'm not shy or anything like that. But I definitely in my own self had to really think about, okay, speaking to a camera where there's no feedback, there's no applause, there's no anything, speaking to a little black circle, you know, can be very daunting. And I even now I'm only just becoming a little bit more confident in terms of doing videos and you know, promoting myself in that way, which is why I'm so glad to be here with you, because it's something I want to do more, because it's not something I naturally lean to. I'd much rather write stuff or you know, talk about things, but you know, without the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing a lot of videos during lockdown, and then I've moved into lives, because lives are just really scary. I mean, I just got over the video thing, because I mean, I didn't really edit them, so it wasn't such a problem. But when you're on video, you're not talking to anybody, so it's different. When you're on the live, there could be people at the other side that are watching you, and you know they're there, and that's the pressure. It's like you don't know what they're doing, if they're watching, if anybody's there. It could be just talking to nobody. Whereas if it's on video, I don't know, it just feels safer, because you're not talking to anybody until you've put it out there. So I
I mean,
found lives quite difficult.
yeah, I definitely, and that's the thing, I kind of do things in a little bit of a nutsy way. So I like, in order to get over my fear of video, and I last year, just before lockdown started, I launched what I called the 3Cs Lent Challenge. So I basically, you know, I was talking to my children and saying, you know, oh, you know, people in the Christian tradition, people give up things for Lent. They just looked at me and they're like, Mom, that's not our Christian tradition. I'm like, true. But they were like, okay, so what should we give up? And I was like, they said, oh, you know, let's give up cake. I'm like, no, my birthday's in Lent, I'm not giving up cake. They're like, chocolate, cookies. I was like, no. I was like, actually, we can give up 3 different C's. So we gave up complaining, criticizing, and condemning. And
Cool.
they were like, at first we were like, why are we doing this? It was, the first few days was really tough. we really got into the stride of it. And to be honest, we then went into lockdown through Lent. But we had already been in the practice of not complaining, not criticizing, not condemning. It was the best thing that ever happened to us. But the crazy thing I decided to do is I put out an article on LinkedIn where I'd already been doing like weekly posts and stuff. And I said, I'm doing this challenge. Who wants to join? I went to bed. I think there were maybe like 10 or 15 people in this like pop-up Facebook group that I set up. I woke up the next morning, there were 115 people in the group.
Oh my
and I
goodness.
was like, okay. And then I decided that because I'm, want to be really positive and nurturing, I didn't want to just be taking away C's. So then I went live every day of Lent. And Lent's 46 days. I didn't know it was 46 days at the time. I thought it was 40, but Christians take Sundays off of Lent. Who knew? But yeah, so 46 consecutive days of lives, giving a C back. So yeah, today's C for the day is commitment, is caring, is can do, is children, is 46.
Oh my God, yeah, 46 C's. That's a lot.
Yeah, 46 C's. But the thing was, I was done with being scared of lives by the end of it, because
I can imagine.
I practiced my way out of it. But B, it's exactly the kind of silly thing that I do. Like when something scares me, I do not dip my toe in. I take a running jump and jump right in the middle of the pool. So
that's exactly what I do. Yeah, I was petrified of doing videos, and I thought, screw this, I've got to do them. And then somebody said to me, what about lives? I was like, I hate lives. All right, I'm going to do them. So I'm just like, whether you like it or not, I'm going live today, and just like, I'll be fine. I'm not going to die from doing it. So
and
it's
that's
all
the
good.
thing, we get these, and like I said, we do have the social cues, particularly as women, to where things become really high stakes, and they're really not. No. If you stumble your words on a podcast or on a live, nobody, like, literally, it is not the end of the world.
No, we're human, aren't we? Come on, we're allowed
absolutely.
to sort of mess up,
and that's the thing. We really need to focus on just focusing on doing our best. Excellence is what we should be pursuing, not perfection. Like perfection does not exist. You're not going to get it, so forget about it.
No.
And I say that as a recovering perfectionista.
Yes, but I mean, your perfection is different to mine, isn't it, as well? So you're never going to be perfect.
Yeah, it's a really powerful point. But yeah, society wants us to believe in perfection so that we can be distracted on silly stuff and not really focusing on making the impact that we could make. Done is better than perfect, so let's just get it done.
Yeah, definitely. You can always add things to it, tweak it. You can do what you like, can't you? Yeah,
absolutely.
And especially like working from home. I was doing a podcast interview the other day, and my podcast setup is in my bedroom because it's like one of the best places for the volume, for the acoustics, whatever. And I could see the postman through my bedroom window because it's downstairs at the front. And I was thinking, damn, he's coming to my house, isn't he? He did. And the dog's going, I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. Working from home. I don't think she edited it out either. So yeah, that was very, but yeah,
I mean, we're all working from home. So if we can't forgive the postman knocking and the dog going rah, then watch a different podcast.
Well, exactly. You can do both, can't you? It's not a problem. So
absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about Colour Success Systems, because this is a new venture you're doing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I fairly recently launched it in its current format. But it's kind of been, it's a business that is many, many years in the making. So I say my mission is to support women, busy, ambitious, amazing women, to build thriving and profitable businesses while living full, fab and nourishing lives. And the reason I do what I do is a couple of things. Number one, I hate it when people say no to me. I hate it when people say I can't have things, I can't do things. Like they want to put their limits on me. Yeah. And so for many, we hear a lot of messages as women to tell us that, oh, you can't have it all. You have to make choices between, your health and your wealth. You can either have a really zen and well-being focused lifestyle, or you can be rich and successful. Or, they say, oh, you need to choose between your money and your life. There are many women who have felt like they needed to choose between, let's say, having a family and you know, having a really high powered career or business.
Mm.
And I refuse. I'm like, nope, that's not what I'm going to do. I do believe that I can have it all, and therefore I'm going to have it all for me. But more importantly, I'm going to support as many women as possible to decide what all means for them. You know, my definition of success is not yours, and I'd never tell you what yours should be. But whatever it is, you know, I'm fully committed to ensuring that your business enables you to live, you know, your biggest hopes and your wildest dreams. But also making sure that the journey is really exciting, and you know, you're not just obsessed with the destination and dragging, you know, yourself in your carcass through the journey. No, you know, today is the only day we're promised. So I'm really passionate about making sure that women enjoy the journey, get to smell the roses along the way, and then also, you know, get to make the impact that they want out of their one wild and precious life.
Cool. That's really good. So have you always done this kind of work? What
No.
did you do originally? Where did you start?
Okay. So back in the day, so I left uni. I did economics, which I loved. And I wanted to change the world, as you always do. But I went into banking, investment banking, because I had a really idealistic perspective of life, but that kind of soon was kind of shaken out of me a little bit through kind of milk round interviews and things like that. So I figured that, you know, it is money that actually makes the impact in this world. I needed to really understand how money worked. So I was like, okay, so which industry has the most knowledge and interaction and focus on money? And that for me was banking. So when I went into banking, and while I was in banking, the very first day, we went to orientation, and the gentleman leader who was welcoming us to the firm said, "Oh, welcome to said investment bank. Welcome to investment banking, the industry where you don't know your children, but you get to know your grandchildren." And I kind of made a mental note, like, okay, cool, I'm clearly not going to be here for that long, because that's not the kind of, I want to know my children when I have them.
Nice.
So I kind of stored that one in the bank. A few years later, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and was, before I say the end of my story, she is absolutely fine. She's fully recovered. She's, you know, 10 years. She's 10 years remission and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro to celebrate 10 years in remission. So
excellent.
She's uber fine. But at the time, you know, she was very unwell, had to go through, you know, lots of really vicious treatment. But I kept seeing her having to leave treatment to go and service clients in her business, because she was running a business. And it happened to her. I left my banking career in order to go and support her in her business. But it occurred to me, as I kept seeing lots of other women have similar life scenarios, that when women, you know, when things happen, women form this amazing social support for other women, the men in their lives, children, society, families, everyone. And yet when women need that support, unless it's coming from other women, there isn't the same level of support that I saw that they were giving to others when they needed it in return. And so I was like, I'm not really happy with that kind of balance. So that I need, you know, as women are building businesses, and life doesn't stop just because you're a woman that wants to run a business. I was thinking, you know, I was really passionate about making sure there were other ways to support women through that journey. So that was my second bank. And then as I was helping my mum through the business, we were, you know, learning sales, you know, bringing my banking knowledge, operations knowledge, marketing knowledge. I'd go out to all these conferences, I'd fly out, I'd learn from, like, you know, the biggest names in the industry. And I kept seeing, I'm like a SWAT, I'm a nerd. It's not even something I'm ashamed of. I am a proud book nerd, word nerd, whatever you want to call it. And I'm always that swotty kid who did her homework. So when they would give us all these systems and what have you, and then we'd apply them in our business, the results that we were getting were different to the results they were promising us. And I was like, something's not quite right here. Like, and what I kept discovering was that these amazing guys who doing amazing things in their business, kept telling us it was their, amazing magical systems, but kept forgetting to outline the fact that they had a woman underpinning their lives, taking care of the kids, managing all the other parts of their lives in order to give them this mental and physical runway to run these amazing businesses and create these systems.
Yeah.
So they weren't being, I wouldn't say they were being dishonest because that implies intent, but they just completely were disregarding the additional effort and support they were getting from these incredible women as they were explaining what they were doing. And so, I call it the wife at home syndrome that they just were not talking about. And a lot of these systems and these processes didn't work the same way without that wife at home factor. And I was like, well, what happens when you are the wife at home, or you don't have that support? So then I was like, okay, so women, the information that's out there to build businesses and to market and sell is made by men for men. But does that therefore mean that women cannot have the businesses that they want? No, of course not. As I said, I'm not the person to be told no, but it just means that how we build our businesses has to be different because it has to account for what's real for us in our lives and in our businesses. And so that's how I began to put the beginnings of how Cala works together and focus on, some of the real key offerings that I have now to really support women in business, to build businesses, but through the reality of your life as a woman, because life isn't just going to stop because you want to run a business.
No, it's not. And, you've got to be, like you said, that support as well is really important, because you can't do it on your own. Basically, you need, even if it's just emotional support, you need somebody there that gets what you're going through to help you. When we're doing coaching, it's great to do one-to-one coaching, but when you're working in a group coaching environment, it's a whole different situation, because there's many women together supporting each other helps people move so much further, so much quicker.
Absolutely. And for me, I focused on a couple of really key. I'm very much someone who, because I came up in the traditional kind of marketing ideas, all of them, it's not that they're bad ideas. So for example, the 80-20 rule, I'm obsessed. I love the 80-20 rule. I look for 80-20 in everything. I'm always looking for what's the 20% that will give us the impact that will get us 80% of our results. And that's where, for me, I'm always focused on how do I get women the biggest bang for their time buck, their money buck, whatever bucket it is they're spending. If I've got 30 minutes between, home preschool and, a Zoom, how do I make sure that 30 minutes gets me, results that would have been like, someone else working for 2 or 3 or 4 hours? So, and the answer to most of these questions begins with having a really robust plan and a really robust system to help you to fulfill that plan. And that's, when I work with women, that's kind of the first thing I put together. So I have an accelerator where I'm helping women to build out these plans so that they are building, for the future, but they're also winning today. And so it's very much, how I describe and talk about it is a little bit like alchemy, like double your days almost, because you get to win today, but you get to get that winning day and stack it for tomorrow as well. So without that plan, there's a real you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And I meet women all the time who have that feeling that I'm doing loads of stuff, but I'm not making progress. The reason you're not making progress is because you're not building towards something concrete. You're if you imagine that winning a day like a brick, instead of making a wall and then turning that into a building, what you're doing is making these bricks, and then you've got a pile of bricks at the end of it. It's only with a plan that you can turn that pile of bricks into something more substantial.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. It's all right making bricks, but you're just going to have a pile of bricks.
Yeah. And trust me, we're women. So, we can make bricks with the best of them. But then, what do you want at the end of it all? And that's the thing, because we have less time, there's this whole idea of, women have less time. So, their businesses can't be as profitable. And I'm like, that's a crock. That's complete and utter crock. Do you honestly think that, you know, Jeff Bezos, who earned like literally billions every year, do you think he earned like or worked X times as much as someone who earned like a regular living wage? Of course not. That's not how money works. Money isn't linked to time. So it's this idea of, you know, women earning less because they have less time. It's complete rubbish. And so it's now for us, so now that that's not how it works, it's for us to find out how it does work and then use that to our advantage. And that's some of what I help women do.
So what kind of advice would you give somebody if they only have a few hours a day and they're trying to run a business? What would you suggest that they focus on?
A couple of things. So number one is understand that you have, you know, if you've got a couple of hours to kind of sit down and do work, separate your doing time from your thinking time. So for example, when I'm washing up, if I do the washing up, I plan content, for example, when I'm washing up, because I don't need, you know, full mental capacity in order to wash up. They're always clean, but you know, it's that there are things that we can do by habit. And there are things that we need to engage our brain on. So for example, so when I sit down, you know, and write content, and the thing is for me now, you know, I have a long streak in content creation. I send a daily email to women in business. And I've been doing that now for, I clocked 2,100 days a couple of days ago. Wow. So that's like almost 6 years. And I've never missed a day. And people are like, how can you not miss a day? You know, you've got a 3-year-old. So you clearly did an email on the day he was born. And I'm like, yes, I did. But that's the thing. I made a plan, but I definitely didn't write that email while I was in labor or giving birth, but I made a plan for what I would do on the day that I was. Yeah. But therein lies the point that we often sit down and then start thinking. And I'm like, no, our advantage is the fact that actually, if you use your time when you're doing things you have to do whilst you are you know, taking action in other places, when you sit down to actually, you know, document things, the things that I can document in an hour, having spent time thinking about it, is much more productive. Yeah. So it's about making, you know, washing up is an 80% activity. You know, it doesn't require a lot of mental capacity, so you can get other things done. You know, I can wash up and I can stand there and speak things into a recorder, and I can come back to it later and I can type. So that's one of my pieces of advice. The other piece of advice I would think about is exactly about impact. Not everything that you do has equal impact. So I focus on what's called, you know, highest impact tasks and income generating tasks. And one thing that I always, you know, and speak to the women that I support about is the fact that businesses that are successful are in the habit of doing things that make businesses successful. And businesses that are unsuccessful are just in the habit of doing things that make businesses unsuccessful. So a business that earns a lot of money is in the habit of doing things that earn money. And so if you want more money in your business, then go and do those things. And it sounds, you know, as I'm saying it, and as someone is listening, they might be thinking, she just said lots of the same words over and over again. It sounds too simple to be true. But actually, it literally is what Amazon does to make billions, what Apple does to make billions, and how I'm supporting women to build businesses. It really isn't like, it's not rocket science. You look at the things that have the highest impact and generate the most income for your business, and you focus on them in the time. If you focus on things that make you money, not prepare to make you money, but actually make you money, there's no way that your business won't make money. It's, you know, that's the nature of how habits work. So that they would be my best pieces of advice. Look at the most impactful things, separate doing from thinking time, and use your time most impactfully.
So I'm presuming when you say making money, I'm presuming you're meaning sales orientated things.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not the thing, even in the idea of sales, people get very kind of tetchy about, oh my gosh, like, oh, I want to sell without selling. It's one of my most hated phrases, because I don't think you can sell without selling. But I think that we've gotten it into our minds that sales is a problem, and so we should kind of back away from it. Whereas, my mantra and what I support women to build their businesses to think is actually everything is sales. To sell is human is the book that Daniel Pink wrote. But, the best salespeople are newborn babies. Because when they cry, they are very clear about what they, you understand the problem, you understand the solution. The urgency is real. Like their persuasion skills are next level. But more importantly, even for us as adults, every communication that we have is sales. Before we sell products for money, we sell our ideas, we sell our values, we sell our information. We sell the idea that we're the kind of business that our ideal client should do business with. So we're always selling. So if you think about the idea of sales, and then think about actually every communication is selling. Every post you do on social media, every email you write, every time, you do, I'm selling here now. Some people are like, I love this chick, I'm going to buy whatever the hell she's selling from an ideas perspective. Other people will be like, who is this annoying human? I don't want nothing to do with her. Yeah. Perfect. You are not my ideal client. And so, but once you realize that everything is sales, then you focus on being clear about that. But second of all, when it comes to then make the sale for money, you're on your front foot rather than trying to do it on your back foot. And so, yes, 100%, you need to make offers. If you're not offering people, the opportunity to give you money, then you're not going to make money. And so you're going, I know it sounds simple, and I don't mean to make it sound patronizing, and I hope that's not how it's coming across, but these are the things that make the difference in business. Offer people the opportunity to give you money, offer the opportunity for them to have value, and then, do that on an ongoing basis, develop the habit of doing that often, your business will make money.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're in business and people know you're in business, but unless you actually tell them what you have for them and actually offer it to them, then they're not going to come up and say, oh, by the way, what can I buy from you today? I was just passing and I thought I'd pop in and, ask you what you had on offer. You've got to be out there giving it. And I can't remember who it was that said, I remember somebody saying it should be like, for your posts, for example, it should be, value, sales, value, sales. So it should be like 4 to 1 on each of your posts.
Yeah. And like I said, even, from my perspective and how, sell your values, sell an idea, sell a different perspective, sell your product, sell your values, sell your, every post is sales. Yeah.
That's true,
and the thing is, because all sale is an exchange of value. Money is just a store of value. But, if you, I was talking and posted recently, because legend has it that, Pablo Escobar, legendary, Colombian drug dealer, burnt $1 million in bills one cold Colombian night because his daughter was cold and he needed the kindling for fire. He had nothing else. And the legend has it was that he burnt $1 million. Now people are like, oh my goodness, that's insane. Who would burn $1 million? A dad whose daughter is cold and needs a fire. And that's the thing. We get really obsessed with money, and money is only a store of value. And actually, when you need a fire and you don't need the cash, then that money becomes worth the paper.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting concept for us to really think about, well, how do we, if all sales is an exchange of value. So I'm asking them for money. If I'm giving them a solution to a problem, the opportunity to save money, the opportunity to make money, to relieve a pain, to make their lives better, then them giving you money, they're definitely getting the better end of the deal. And once you view it from that perspective, then you will make offers every day. You'll make sales every day.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that we're selling every day, but we only think of sales as actual, like, I'll do this for you, you give me money type of thing. Yeah. But no, you're selling yourself as a person, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Either you like me or you don't like me type of thing.
You're selling the idea that you talked about earlier, it's rare. People don't come to you and say, oh, what can I buy from you today? Some people will. If they know you well enough and they like and they trust you and you've done stuff for them in the past and that it was brilliant, then there's nothing, you will have a portion of your market that are like your raving fans who are like, can you please do this for me because I want to buy it from you? And that's a real opportunity. But again, you need to work up to that. They are out there, but you need to work up to that. So you're absolutely right. Every communication is sales. And so the question is, well, what is communication? Because, that's in everything you do. That's in, you communicate with the clothes you wear, you communicate with the words you put out, the images you put out. Once you take it down to that level, you're like, okay, wow, I really am selling all the time. Was I conscious in what I was selling? And am I selling myself in the best way possible?
Yeah. Cool. Love it. Right. So Yinka, how can my audience find you if they'd like to get in touch or find out more about what you do?
Cool. Well, I'm doing a number of different things. So my daily email for women in business, women can join that they can email me at hello@coloursuccess.com. My website is due to go live imminently, and that will be coloursuccess.com as well. And then on socials, I'm on Instagram, less so Instagram, less so Twitter, less Facebook, but I'm on LinkedIn daily. And I gave some links, so I think
I'll put the links as well in there.
Okay,
so that's
perfect.
great.
Yeah, so come find me on LinkedIn. That's where I am every day.
That's where you're hanging out, is it?
Yeah, if you're not on my email list, come like LinkedIn. I'm there every day. So
actually, I had a dream last night that Facebook was an actual place. So literally, it was an actual place, and people were walking around. You like when people interact with posts, they were just talking to each other like that, and the groups were rooms. And I was like popping into this room, which was a group, and then popping into it was really weird. It was an actual physical place. So so you hanging out in LinkedIn makes sense to me. We're just sat there on your stool. I just imagine like a cocktail bar LinkedIn. So you're on your stool with your arm on the bar, just having a chat in LinkedIn in your suit. That's Facebook's much casualer than LinkedIn. It's not a cocktail bar.
It's funny you say that, actually. I find Facebook a little bit left for me. Like I like LinkedIn. It's a little bit more chilled. Like people are less likely to send you crazy things in your DMs. Like, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, but it's still a cocktail after work kind of place, I think.
Yeah. And you do have like the self-appointed LinkedIn police going, this is not Facebook, send it. But I mean, they're self-appointed, so we just ignore them.
Well, I'm sure they can find you on there, hanging out in your cocktail frock, drinking whatever. Yeah.
Let's get back to frocks. All this working from home, very, very important.
You got pajamas on and a nice top, and you're like, I'm ready to go.
Oh no, I haven't gotten that far yet. I definitely always get dressed.
I don't think my mind would be in the right frame if I didn't get dressed. If I was in my pajamas, I couldn't do it.
But no judgment. If that works for you, do you?
Yes, definitely. For me, I'd just be like, oh, forget this. Put it down. Goes a chocolate.
Yeah.
Let's put Netflix on again and find something else to watch.
Totally.
All right, my lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today. I shall put the links and the bio and everything in the information. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, they can find you on LinkedIn and your email too.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for having me, Tara. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. It's been great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed that episode of Happy, Inspired, Motivated, please make sure that you subscribe, rate and review so that we can reach more people who can find the message that they need at the right time. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I will speak to you again next week. Until then, sending you lots of love and blessings. Thank you for listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. I'll be back next week bringing more meditation, mindset and motivation for your happy and successful life. To find out more about our community, go to tarachatzakis.com/happy, inspired, motivated.